Simple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt.
Terrell Farley.
Defending Terrell Farley, who last week in his first start was a holy terror. Number 43.
And Jake Bockoven. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer.
Welcome to Bock and the Blackshirt here on 93.7 The Ticket. We're on from 1 to 3, Monday through Friday. The first week of college football is in the bag as we get ready for week number 2, Nebraska versus Akron. It will be Saturday at 6:30. It's a home game. Bock, what did we learn from week 1 in college football?
I think we learned a lot that we thought we knew in the offseason might not have been necessarily true. So I think we learned that. Definitely had some fun with some top 10 matchups. Definitely learned from the other night, even if you're a professional coach, maybe the greatest of all time, still going to take some time to build your program there in Chapel Hill. I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, every game kind of has its own stories and own lessons. But also a reminder that this is just week 1. There is going to be time for these teams to improve, to get better. But I always kind of I think it's probably true for a lot of people. If you watched over the college football weekend, you would realize, a lot of these teams are not complete teams. There's a lot of teams have holes and things they need to get better. So after watching the Nebraska game, of course, there was a source or a section of the Nebraska crowd that maybe was a little bit concerned about this or that for Nebraska, and I'm sure that still exists. But hopefully, after watching some other games this weekend, it kind of brings you back to reality that everybody has a lot to work on in just week 1 to work toward a complete football team, which is very difficult to get to. I mean, oftentimes national championship teams, even as we saw last year with 2 losses, had some flaws, had some problems they had to work out, but by season's end, they were where they needed to be, and that's the new name of the game for an extended college football playoff. These regular season games are fun. You got to position yourselves to get into the playoff, but once you get there, that's the tournament to win.
All right, Bock. I think that I think most of the teams are even when we talk about college football and transfer portal with NIL. But I think it's 4 teams that are ahead of the pack right now. I think Ohio State's ahead of the pack. I think Penn State's ahead of the pack. I think Georgia is ahead of the pack. I think LSU is ahead of the pack when I talk about these 4 teams, because just looking at the LSU game, it was a game that they went down there on somebody else's home turf, top 10 matchup, was able to escape with it, and probably did something that I haven't seen LSU do in a long time, play great defense. And that was one of the best games I could say. As we talk about these games, Bock, most of them that we watched, Bock, they was no blowouts when you talk about these top 10 teams. When you talk about Notre Dame and Miami, when you talk about the Clemson and LSU, when you talk about the South Carolina game, was good to the end. I mean, I know they broke it open at the end, but when we watch all these games all weekend, Bock, I wasn't disappointed.
No, it was a great week. Again, it just kind of depends on what you'd necessarily like to look for and what you love in college football. I think what we've seen with the extended playoff, again, I'm always going to be a regular season matters game after game, kind of like the BCS era. But for those that would champion the playoff and an extended playoff, they would tell you, much like we're seeing what the SEC does now that they're going to 9 conference games, kind of opening up to have these incredible matchups. I mean, we haven't had a number 1 team in Texas, which fell this weekend. Haven't had a number 1 team lose an opening game since 1990. Oftentimes, that's because you're not taking on the best of the competition right out of the gate. We had 3 top 10 matchups. Again, and as we look at it, you mentioned those games are close. I think as the college football coaches poll, AP poll comes out.
AP poll just came out.
Right. Those teams aren't being punished. Most of them are still in the top 10. I think all of them are. I have to go back and look. So again, these early season losses, these heavyweight matchups, as long as you can kind of keep them close and look like you are within range, right, of those teams that you pointed out. You say LSU and Ohio State and these teams are ahead of everybody. Well, LSU was only 7 points better than Clemson. Clemson can make that up. Texas, Ohio State, interesting 14-7 defensive battle in week 1. Texas can make that up. And we'll see as the season goes on. Maybe a rematch between Ohio State and Texas might be a little bit more of an offensive tussle than the defensive struggle that you had, defensive tussle, I should say, early on in that matchup. So it's interesting to see as things evolve, what teams are going to be taken off and who needs some time. But it's also interesting to see some of the things that we thought we knew did play out. Some of the things we thought we knew didn't play out. The Alabama loss, of course, there's all sorts of different stats on Alabama and that loss, and we can get to that later. But that was something a lot of people didn't see coming. So that was hard to predict. Iowa beat Albany 34-7. Still had a struggling passing game. A lot of people still kind of wanted to see, maybe that was I don't want to say easier to predict, but it's been kind of the deal there in Iowa City for the longest time. So it was an interesting weekend, a lot of good football, a lot of good matchups. And I think part of that, again, is to the extended playoffs and trying to get in and scheduling better opponents and moving forward. The idea less total wins mattering and more strength of schedule mattering will help us to have more weekends like this into the future.
All right, Bock, let's talk about number 1 Texas. Was number 1 Texas versus 3 Ohio State. When you look at the numbers for Arch Manning, he was 17 of 30. Bock, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Julius Sand, 13 for 20, 126, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. What was the difference in that game, Bock, to you?
Well, again, it was a defensive battle. Julian Sand maybe making a few more plays at times, or the offense making a few more plays than Texas did. Texas really didn't threaten until late in that game. So I don't even know. I think Ohio State, of course, has their own things to improve on. Jeremiah Smith had 2 drops right out of the gate. So that was kind of interesting to go to watch. Both teams kind of taking some chances, going for it on 4th down. It was a defensive battle, and maybe these are 2 of the top defenses across the country. At least they were last year. Of course, they're replacing a lot, but I think we overlooked that coming in. Is that the Arch Manning, the Julian Sand, and the hype about these quarterbacks, and Arch Manning might still be really good. He didn't necessarily look too good against Ohio State, but that's the point I'm trying to make. In his first big start, he's got to go up against the Ohio State defense. That's not an easy thing to do. Now, Texas obviously going to want to score more points than that. We'll see kind of what becomes of Arch Manning, but it, kind of ask a bigger question: is it going to be worth it moving on for Texas when they maybe could have stuck with Quinn Ewers? I think Quinn Ewers, Texas, probably wins that game. Arch Manning, Texas, still kind of learning the how to combat that sort of stuff. So it's very interesting to kind of break that down. Again, I think that would be another game if a rematch happened. People would be interested in. I think that the offenses would get a little bit more going, but we'll see. Maybe these are going to be defensive-led teams throughout the year.
Yeah, and I know that because, Bock, when you talk about defense, Ohio State's defensive coordinator, what's his name?
Matt Patricia, yeah.
Called an excellent game plan. It might be the strength of Ohio State this year, Bock, when you got a guy who comes from the NFL, and he made it look like cakework, Bock, especially with the athletes that Ohio State got. I mean, they basically just shut this whole team down, Bach. I mean, when you look at everything, like, when you look at the team stats, that was a great game. I mean, give it to Matt Patricia to hold them under, what, 200 yards? 336.
Well, 336. So Texas actually had 133 more yards than Ohio State did.
Yeah.
Some timely penalties, in fact, on Brennan Baker, who of course was close to coming to Nebraska. Now Texas is starting tackle. That also was a difference in this game.
Wingo. Too many drops. Kind of glad we didn't get him.
Yeah, another guy. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think he's going to go on to have a pretty good career.
Well, he dropped a lot, Bog. He dropped some
wide. So did Jeremiah Smith.
I know, but for him to drop him when their team needed him the most, I think that was the bad part of it. When you look at Penn State, they had an easy game, 46-11 versus Nevada.
Yeah. Chubba Purdy got in.
Who that?
Chubba Purdy got in for Nevada. That's
I didn't watch that game. That was some games I don't watch because it don't interest me. Now, the LSU Clemson game, we talked about that one. How great was that game to you, Bob?
Well, it was, again, it's kind of funny because we talk about it going into this game. These are the top two quarterbacks in the nation. Of course, Arch Manning was getting the preseason Heisman favorite, and I was joking with my friends going back to that game. I kept texting and be like, "It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:30. This Heisman winner still hasn't scored." But as far as LSU and Clemson, the idea was they were going to have two of the best quarterbacks in college football, and again, a little bit humbled by the defenses here, which to your point, LSU, that's kind of something that's been missing over the last several years. And for Clemson, it's interesting because Dabo Swinney had stated before the season he thought there was had a good chance to be the first team to go 16-0. And now, 1 weekend already down there. LSU obviously had lost, 4 or 5 home openers, or excuse me, 5 openers in a row. And so, the pressure was on Coach Kelly to win this one. But ultimately LSU comes out on top. And again, it was just more defense than I think people expected for a matchup of top quarterbacks in the country.
All right, Buck, we watched most of the games. Oregon was 59-13 over a Montana State, Georgia 45-7. Alabama, Florida State. What a game.
Yes.
What a show by Tony White. What a show by Gus Malzahn. When you talk about Florida State proving, because we don't know how good this Alabama team is, for real. Alabama, you go ahead. Talk about this, Bob, because I got something I want to read to you and let you hear what boosters and other people are saying about Florida State.
Yeah, it's interesting. On both sides, right? Florida State was, it was one thing to kind of look at their offseason, what they had put together and think, okay, that's a pretty good coaching staff. But to see it out there in action, Tony White with those neon green undershirt that he's got going on there, that continues to go with him over to Tallahassee. But Gus Malzahn, as you're pointing out, and Thomas Castellanos, who was not short of confidence going into this game. In fact, he has released a Nick Can't Save Them t-shirt following the Alabama win after the offseason, saying that Nick Saban can't come in and save them. This game was interesting in that it was not a close game. A lot of these other ones were, and I was kind of sticking around to see if Alabama was going to make it into anything. Now, 14 points, it could have been close enough. Another thing, of course, watching a lot was James Williams, still kind of pass rusher. He started the game out, and you could tell early on that Alabama had him scouted, because every time he'd kind of just lose the outside contain every time, because he was just putting his head down and running. And so Ty Simpson would run to that side just about every time. I'm interested to see how his role because Alabama was taking advantage of him getting upfield so much. And then, he did have a good series coming out of the half, but was not always in there on their pass rushing situation. So that's interesting from a Husker angle.
Stephon Thompson.
Yeah, out there too. I didn't pay as much attention to him. I didn't get as many snaps.
All right, Buck. Now, this is something I picked up that a booster had sent to someone. It said, spent time around the team for 25 years at the hotel the night of the game. I will tell you, Du Bois' tenure is much more closer to Shula's or DuBois than Saban's. Players are walking around at 1:30 a.m., Bob, getting DoorDash deliveries of fast food the night before the game. I've seen players with random friends coming in and out of hotels 1, 2 o'clock in a.m. They couldn't get organized to leave the team hotel on time without confusion. As soon as I was around this, I could not get it out of my head. You can see it in the organization that looks second class by the way it's run. Since witnessing this, I have held hope, but my eyes, brain, and guts all tell me that this is going to be bad when it comes around. Undisciplined team, Bob, when we talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, certainly is interesting. Of course, that's, it's easy to start piling on. We always look at, when the losses pile up, you start to look at the rest of the program and maybe try to point out to why that might be. Again, that's one man's account, but it is something to kind of take into
consideration. This is a booster, Bob. This is a guy who gives millions of dollars. You don't think he don't know what's going on? I mean, when you say that, when we say, well, how would a booster know? They got a lobby. Bar closes at 2 o'clock at a hotel. If he sees these things, Bach, he see them. I mean, I don't think a guy would go out of his way to probably try to sabotage DeBoer, but he has to get control of his team.
Well, I'm just a little bit interested that it comes out here after the loss, but it's been some bad losses here for Alabama. In fact, in the last 9 games, they're 4-5 against their FBS opponents. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, the dynasty that we've known for the better part of pretty close to 15 years, 17 years. 4-5 in their last 9 games. And to your point, though, it's tough to tell. Does this mean Florida State's good? They definitely rose, take a meteoric rise in the rankings. Florida State rising up to number 14, top 15 in the AP poll now. But if you look at the losses that they've had in those games, let's did 8-5 Michigan, 6-7 Oklahoma, 7-6 Vanderbilt, a Florida State team that was 2-10 last year. So it is interesting to see what is happening with Alabama, who is still, you might say things aren't off to a good start with Kalen DeBoer. Remember, they do still have the number 1 talent composite team in the nation, according to recruiting sites. So the talent should still be there, but something is not necessarily clicking with DeBoer and the team that he inherited. Johnny Manziel has went as far as to say Alabama's aura is completely gone. So that fear aspect of what Alabama's completely gone. Nobody's scared of them, boys. Not anybody. Not Vandy, not Kentucky, not nobody. So it's very interesting to kind of look and break that down because, of course, unfortunately, Nebraska went through that themselves. We kind of watched from Nebraska's dynasty kind of transition, and a lot of people still would want to stick up for Frank Solich and want to see him get a longer run. And of course, hindsight is 2020. I think that would have been welcome now for most Husker fans, considering what kind of turned out after that. But that was kind of part of it. Is Nebraska, had this mental edge over the Missouris and Kansas States and Iowa States and Kansas teams they played and beat for 35 straight years or whatever it was. And then they would start to beat the Huskers, and you wonder, did they have that fear? And then you talk about coming over to the Big Ten. There's more of a respect for the Nebraska brand name, but those teams, they didn't go through 35 years of droughts or whatever, so they kind of lost that. And of course, that's long gone now, and hopefully Nebraska can restore that. But it's just kind of interesting because Nebraska's kind of been through that very thing of that Alabama seems to be going through right now of losing that pregame kind of aura or kind of
mojo,
just the daunting aspect of taking on Alabama. And I've said it for the last couple of years when we were picking games. I say I'll pick Alabama every week. I'm wrong maybe once or twice, maybe, and that is completely gone now. Alabama is going to have to be broken down like any other team. There's no, hey, it's Bama, so that's going to be tough. It's and again, we don't know. Florida State, maybe they took huge strides. Maybe they're going to be in the playoffs. Maybe they're going to win the ACC. Maybe like Vanderbilt, who beat Alabama last year, like OU, who beat Alabama last year. Those teams finished 6-7, 7-6. So we still have to see after week 1 what it is, but it doesn't look good for Alabama. I'm sure you've seen the stats too. He has as many losses to unranked teams through a season in 1 game that Nick Saban had throughout his career there. Again, it's always going to be tough when you follow the GOAT because you're going to be compared to the GOAT, and it's not going to be favorable. I'm not going to completely give up on Kalen DeBoer. What he did at Washington was amazing. Washington's hired a lot of good coaches over the years. I've never seen anybody be able to turn them around like that. But maybe there's a culture problem. Maybe they're, like you're kind of saying, maybe there's just not a cultural fit there. It is, but Alabama has lost that aura.
Well, when you look at, here's a statistic that I want to let you know. Nick Saban, 235 games. You know how many losses to ranked opponents? Unranked teams? 4.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer, 14 games. You know how many lost to unranked opponents? He already tied with Nick Saban.
Yeah.
There's something wrong in Alabama. A lot of people don't think he's going to make it to the season. Would you put him on the hot seat, Bob?
Well, here's the thing. We heard rumors about Nick Saban being interested in coaching again, and we all kind of thought, yeah, well, you got to give Kalen DeBoer a chance. I don't know if Nick Saban's interested in that at all. It's always going to come up. It's going to be a big topic conversation if DeBoer starts to struggle again this season, because I don't think Alabama's going to sit around and wait. We'll wait till his players, wait till year 3. Those excuses are awful for, again, the number 1 composite talent team in the country, or at least should be up there, right? Even if they're the recruiting numbers don't directly correlate. You look at them right now. If Ryan Williams is out there, he's a little bit hurt, but their team is still stacked. But they just did not come together. So I would be on the lookout for that. I'll maybe Bill Snyder coming back to Kansas State a few years after retirement. If things go awful after you leave, you might want to get back in there and restore it a little bit before passing it on a second time.
Well, Bach, here's the thing, what I fear right here for Alabama. I fear that after the end of the season, Ryan Williams transfers. And guess where he go?
Where's that?
Ohio State. Him and Jeremiah Jeremiah Smith are friends.
Yeah.
Then you compare that with Chris Henry Jr., who's coming in there, Bach. Oh, my God, that'll be a mistake. That'll be a mistake.
That would be interesting. I don't know if I would jump to that conclusion. not only that he would transfer,
all right,
but
Bob,
transfer
just
to Ohio
remember
State,
this day, September 2nd,
right.
2025. Terrell Farley said it.
That's right.
Ryan Williams will transfer to Ohio State at the end of the season. Watch it. 93.7, Bock in the black shirt. We'll be back to talk more college football. It's in Nebraska a little bit later. 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's. I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers, crinkle-cut fries with Texas toast. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all 4s and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather.
Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, patchy fog possible this morning. Otherwise, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day with light winds and a high near 76. Tonight, mainly clear skies and calm winds, low around 60. And tomorrow, a chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy with a high near 74. I'm meteorologist Kyle Becker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwisow.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com.
Starter Heyman Jewelers.
Hey guys, it's Nick. We had a great week 1 high school football matchup when Lincoln North Star got the 14-10 win over Lincoln Southwest, but now it's time to turn our attention to one of the best rivalries in Nebraska. This Friday at 7 p.m., join Jay Foreman and I for Lincoln Southwest versus Lincoln Southeast. Southeast is coming in off of a dominating 30-0 win versus Grand Island in week 1, while the Silverhawks look to get their first win of the 2025 season. Kickoff is slated for 7 p.m. from Seacrest Field, with pregame coverage beginning at 6:45. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday night for Lincoln Southeast versus Lincoln Southwest, right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket. It is Bock and the Blackshirt live at 93.7 The Ticket. We are powered
by
Bauer.
Infrastructure.
Bauer.
Underground.
Barack.
Excavating.
All right, Bock, out of all the games you watched this weekend, which one shocked you the most? Which, like, close scores or defeat?
Yeah, that's. I think Alabama we spent a lot of time talking about that. I think that was definitely one of them. For what it's worth, I didn't pick the games very well this week, so we can get to that in a little bit. So I was surprised a few different places. But I think what surprised me, and maybe shouldn't have, but definitely did, was the amount of of blowout. The amount that UCLA got blown out by Utah, 43-10.
I picked that one.
Yeah. A lot of people, I mean, some people picked that, but a blowout was not a good look for Nico Iamaleava, and obviously Deshaun Foster in his second year there trying to get that, they made an offensive coordinator change this year as well. UCLA going to be another team on the schedule that's going to be of interest for Nebraska down the road. I saw you kind of tweet something to me or text something to me too about how there was, about 35,000 fans there. So they also, the interest level in UCLA football is not all-time high around there. So, I mean, it's going to be worse. And when they do have bad seasons, it gets significantly worse with the fan following. Obviously, a lot to do out there in Los Angeles. If you don't know, UCLA, the Rose Bowl, way far off campus, so it's not an on-campus stadium, not even close. So that's also problematic there. But I think that was a surprise. And then the amount that North Carolina lost to TCU the other night, especially after the first drive.
I don't think Bill Belichick is a great college coach. It's just
one game in, you're done.
I'm not riding with him, not to get blown out like that. Yeah. And what interested me most, what baffles my mind is that you don't see Matt Rule's wife on the field trying to talk to him during the game, which Bill Belichick girlfriend did.
Yeah, Jordan Hudson was.
I'm like, what are you doing? You should be in a box somewhere.
Yeah,
it's too much distraction. I just think it's too much distraction. Someone told me that North Carolina job is a job where you go retire at. You know why? Mac, what's his name?
Brown.
Mac Brown.
Yeah,
he was old. Bill Belichick, he's old.
Yeah, it's definitely, it is weird. He's up there in age. The broadcast was just as interesting as maybe the game, because the game got lost at some point. But going into that was just all celebrate North Carolina. Hardly a mention of a 9-win TCU team from the year before. The stars were out. Lawrence Taylor, Michael Jordan, Randy Moss was there from his connection with Coach Belichick. I mean, just all the stars were there to watch the game. Mia Hamm, I think, was there in attendance as well. So all the North Carolina greats, the hype was there. And then it wasn't, right? Gio Lopez starting for the Tar Heels, let them down to the first drive, touchdown, and say, okay, here we go. This is going to be exciting. And then the blowout ensues. And so it's a little bit of a reminder, even though, how great of a coach you are, it's going to be difficult to get your program rolling. They brought in 70 new players. Obviously we saw Deion Sanders do that. That's why I'm going to say hold off on, Bill Belichick isn't going to be a good college coach. I'm interested to see how this happens. But when you do that sort of thing, I mean, we saw Deion do it and beat TCU, obviously, was the difference. Beat Nebraska early on too. But that level of transfer portal, I don't care who you are, that's going to be tough to get going against, again, a team that returns 9 wins. And so Deion went 4-8 with his transfer portal overhaul. Bill Belichick, we'll see what happens. Of course, Deion was good in his second year, and now we're going to see what happens with him too. Absolute clock malfunction, not malfunction, just malpractice in leaving 2 timeouts left when they had a 2-minute drill. Ended up having 2 Hail Marys with 2 timeouts on the clock. Just incredibly embarrassing for Colorado for what they did in their loss to Georgia Tech. But in any case, they did obviously win 9 games last year. And so there was the story that I was trying to make is if you give Belichick time, we'll see what this turns out to be. But it was not off to a good start.
Yeah, it wasn't, Buck. One more game I wanted to talk about, and it kind of piqued my interest. Old Dominion and Indiana. 24-17. Not the way you probably expect Indiana to play, but Old Dominion did play them well.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It was kind of weird because there wasn't as many upset alert type games, I think, this weekend. It was, a lot of them were just kind of the top heavy, big, top 10 teams facing each other. A lot of the favorites won this weekend, but there were a couple close games. That in Kansas State, struggling with North Dakota. That one came down to the end. So there are a few ones that you look at and go, I didn't really see that coming. But Big Ten specific, that is interesting for Indiana because obviously their scheduling philosophy, Old Dominion, a scheduled W for them, and they had a little bit of a struggle doing that. So we'll see what they do. Obviously breaking in a new quarterback, some new different players for the Hoosiers, but they returned a lot. So it was a bit of a surprise to see them struggle. The only other game that I would say that looked particularly bad for the Big Ten, we mentioned UCLA. The only other team to lose in the Big Ten was Northwestern. They lost 23-3 to Tulane. That in itself, maybe not the worst. Tulane might be, the group of 5 team that makes it to the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see on that. But for Northwestern, very disappointing. Preston Stone in his debut for the Wildcats coming over from SMU, 4 interceptions. So we'll see. Northwestern and in UCLA, embarrassing losses in week 1. That's not to say their teams are bad. They can certainly get better, but those are teams that are on Nebraska's schedule. So as we look at the easiest Big Ten schedule and try to kind of figure out how that plays out, I think Northwestern was somewhat of a question mark to kind of see what they look like. Still are, again, not writing them off after week 1, but that was one of the worst performances. And UCLA, I think, was expected to at least kind of carry over that momentum they had toward the end of last season. Remember, they beat Iowa, obviously beat Nebraska down the stretch, but that looked awful. And so you just have to kind of wonder, are they going to be in a good position? And then for Nebraska's side of it, obviously I don't know, maybe it's better if you play weaker teams, or at least for your win total. But you got to make sure not to lose those teams, obviously. And that was, the loss to UCLA. That's kind of why that stuck out last year. And they made all those moves after the UCLA game because they realized this is not working. We just lost to a team that's maybe not living up to their own expectations. Kind of way of saying not a very good team and not a very good loss.
All right, when we talk about Michigan, they beat the Lobos of New Mexico 34-17. Bryce Underwood, 21 out of 31, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, Bob.
Yeah, good debut for him, obviously. Nebraska's going to get a pretty good look at him here in a couple weeks. They have Oklahoma this week. So we're going to really get a test on Bryce Underwood more so than we saw here. Solid debut. It's not like he went out there and, lit the world on fire, but did a good job in leading Michigan to a victory. Kind of, and I thought it was kind of interesting. One of my buddies was talking about it, kind of looked about where Dylan looks or kind of looked last season. So I know he comes in as this big Bollywood recruit, and the expectation is for him to bring Michigan back to the national championship scene. But you have to remember, he is still just a freshman, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he will take off, but he could have a similar season again to maybe what Dylan kind of looked like last year, maybe now, or at least even going into that game. You wouldn't say that he proved himself to be okay. They're going to have the quarterback advantage. But again, we'll see if they beat Oklahoma and he has a special game. It was his first game starting at the college level. So if he didn't look fantastic, you'll have to forgive him a little bit. He looked good enough to get the win.
Yeah, Ernest Hausman, 8 tackles, 5 solo. So good for him to get himself back in the groove of things. We'll see him in Lincoln in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, Bock. Let's go over the rankings. You want to go over the AP poll? Did you see it come out yet?
Yes, I did.
The AP poll comes out, and new number 1 team, Bock, Ohio State. So you have Ohio State number 1, Penn State number 2, LSU number 3, Georgia number 4, Miami number 5, Oregon is 6, Texas, Clemson, and Notre Dame fills out the 7, 8, and 9 spot with South Carolina at 10.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I love kind of breaking this stuff down because it's so random, right? I mean, why LSU jumps 6 spots? That's pretty good. Obviously, like to number 3, but it's just kind of interesting. Did Miami not have a bigger victory than Georgia did? Why don't they get ahead of Georgia, who beat Marshall? Miami beat Notre Dame. So it's like one of those things you just kind of, all right, we'll kind of see. And all these people get together and vote. And obviously the numbers are based off of that. But I just always kind of find that funny. Kind of go later down the rankings, teams that lost, a few teams that lost, maybe not as hurt for it as much as would be expected. Again, the 3 top 10 teams that lost this week, all still in the top 10, 7, 8, 9 is Texas, Clemson, and Notre Dame. So just kind of interesting ways to kind of look at it. But I like what they've got going here. The big thing here to me is after week 1, where there was, or preseason, I should say, where there was several teams with first place votes and it was all close. Ohio State had earned the first place ranking this week. 55 first place votes for Ohio State. Penn State at number 2, only 7 first-place votes.
Yeah, when we go through the rest of it, Bach, 11 Illinois, 12 Arizona State, 13 Florida, 14 Florida State, 15 Michigan, 16 Iowa State, who moves up 6 spots. SMU is at 17. Oklahoma is at 18. Texas A&M is at 19. Ole Miss is at 20. Alabama falls way down to 21. Tennessee is at 22. Indiana's at 23. Texas Tech at 24. And Utah comes in. Nebraska receives 13 votes. So hopefully by next week or 2 weeks from now, we'll get some more.
Yeah, that's right. And if you do that, I know you don't like me counting the numbers, but they would come out to number 35 in that if you count the votes there. So, yeah, I didn't expect Nebraska to move up too much with the Cincinnati victory. Close victory against a 5-7 team from last year. I didn't think that was going to be enough to move up too much. So not a lot of movement for the Huskers, but that's fine. Again, they'll get their opportunity, like you said, here down the line if they get a big victory against Michigan. All that without, obviously a feeling that they have at least a good enough performance and a big enough wins over Akron and Houston Christian.
Yeah, coaches poll a little different, Bach. Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, LSU, Oregon, Texas, Miami, Clemson, Notre Dame, Arizona State. And yeah, Nebraska, we got 13 votes on that one too.
There we go.
All right, let's go to break. 93.7 The Ticket. This is Bock in the Black Shirt. When we come back, we're going to talk about, is the ACC back, Bock? We're going to talk about that. See if they can get 3 teams in the playoff, Bock. 93.7 The Ticket. Bock in the Black Shirt. Be right back.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's. I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries with Texas toast. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, patchy fog possible this morning. Otherwise, we'll see a decrease in clouds throughout the day with light winds and a high near 76. Tonight, mainly clear skies and calm winds, low around 60. And tomorrow, a chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy with a high near 74. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. You're listening to Bock the Blackshirt on air and online at theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Bock the Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket. Gus Mohawk says, are you picking Scott Frost of USC to beat Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels in week 4? I don't know if Bill can get it back right. Might have to go against Bill. But I always will go against Scott, so I will never pick UFC to win anything.
UCF, yeah, they didn't look good necessarily in their debut either. So.
Yeah, they struggled a lot. Had a rain delay, but I think I would never bet with Scott Frost. I agree with the black shirt on that one. Bill Belichick's girlfriend will be the downfall if he doesn't get rid of her. You're right about that one. 2280 says UCLA should have kept Aguilar at quarterback. He looked good at Tennessee. What's his name?
Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, he looks terrible.
Yeah, we might look back and call that the Joey Aguilar trade, even though we thought of it initially as the Nico trade. Of course, it wasn't a trade, but it was kind of just the way that things turned out. But yeah, I mean, Joey did look really good. I thought Aguilar in Tennessee, and remember they had at least a noteworthy opponent, a good enough matchup in beating Syracuse 45-26.
Ooh.
Yeah, you didn't. That was one of the games you missed there, but so they looked good enough, and yeah, I think they might look back at that and say, man, if we would have just stayed with what we had, might have been better in the long run. But again, a lot of season left. We'll still kind of wait and see what happens there. But that was definitely notable out of the gate so far. Tennessee has won that trade.
All right, Bob, we had 5 great days of football. NFL starts Thursday. Let's go over the games that we picked last week.
All right, yeah, not a great record altogether for us. In fact, the text line so far is doing well. So we entered on week 0. The text line and myself had a 3-0 record, and Terrell, you had 1-2. But you did better this weekend than I did. You made the correct calls on Ohio State, Miami, Georgia Tech, Utah, and South Carolina to finish 5-5 on the week. The text line also going 5-5 with the picks of Georgia Tech, Tennessee, LSU, South Carolina, and TCU. Good pick for the text line, picking the Horned Frogs there. Myself, I went 4-6. Didn't do well there. Ohio State Georgia Tech, Tennessee, and South Carolina. The games that all, we picked 10 games, 2 games. All 3 of us missed, including the text line, Auburn over Baylor and Florida State over Alabama. Of course, that was not a popular pick for almost anybody. We did see Lee Corso make that pick as part of his perfect 6 for 6 picks in the send-off for him there, which I thought went beautifully. If you do look at it, $100 parlay on Lee Corso's 6 picks would have netted you $10,296. So it would have been a good deal if you would have listened to Lee Corso this past week. Not so much if you would have listened to us.
I think it would have been better if Lee Corso was in Florida State because of the way they played. It would have been a great send-off for him. I just think going to Ohio State where Kirk Herbstreit went to school at, I think it was his choice. But I think a farewell would have been great for the Florida State game because we didn't know the outcome was going to be like that.
Yeah, I think, and I think they expected, obviously a blowout maybe, or more potential for a blowout in that game. Which, by the way, if you look back at it, Florida State with that upset win probably did that in a way. We'll put it this way: Florida State beat Alabama as a bigger betting underdog than the 2023 Noles would have been against Michigan without Jordan, their quarterback Jordan Travis. So I still believe they should have. That was one of the biggest ripoffs I've ever seen in college football history. Florida State didn't get a chance to play in that game because we thought they weren't going to win. Well, we thought Florida State wasn't going to win this game, and they go out there and beat Alabama. So that's why you play the games. You don't just play, paper champions there. So that is one kind of thought there. But ultimately, I thought they did good enough. It was kind of cool. Big Noon, of course, doesn't have much of a must love loss for College Game Day, but still they showed kind of Lee Corso and his final pick there. So it was just kind of a cool day for everybody to embrace Coach Corso, and he picked Ohio State. Part of it was that was the first pick that he made as far as the helmet selections or the mascot selections. So he started with Brutus and ends with Brutus, the Buckeyes. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was a lot of fun. Interesting to see Dave Portnoy's debut on Big Noon Kickoff. I don't know if you saw that, but he went completely heel. Kind of came out as a wrestler, in fact, and then started to he had like 2 minutes where he's just yelling at the Michigan fans, the Ohio State fans, because he is a Michigan grad and a proud Michigan man. So that was very interesting.
That's the one with the T-shirt he had on, didn't he?
He ripped off his T-shirt. So he had some good points in there, but it was interesting. A lot of social media reactions. Some people liked it. Some people said this is going off the script here.
All right, Bock, when we come back, we're gonna start with Nebraska. We're going to hear a little bit from Hogerson. We're going to hear some of Matt Rule pointers that he gave away yesterday at his presser on Monday. And, yeah, we're going to talk some more Nebraska football when we come back. 93.7 The Ticket, Bock the Blackshirt.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, patchy fog possible this morning. Otherwise, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day with light winds and a high near 76. Tonight, mainly clear skies and calm winds, low around 60. And tomorrow, a chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy with a high near 74. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Oh, Kansas.
Here we go. Second half today.
You just don't stop giving, do you?
Green flag, we're underway.
The closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history. Close to downtown, amazing campgrounds. 3 NASCAR races in one weekend, and it's the playoffs.
You guys can't drive.
Now you're just showing off. But we're not mad. In fact, we're looking forward to it. NASCAR Playoffs Weekend at Kansas Speedway, September 26th through the 28th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloff.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt.
Terrell Farley.
Defending Terrell Farley, who last week in his first start was a holy terror. Number 43.
And Jake Bockoven. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer.
Welcome back to Bock The Blackshirt here on 93.7 The Ticket. We are powered
by
Bauer.
Infrastructure.
Bauer.
Underground.
Barrett.
Excavating.
All right. Shout out to the Bauer crew out there working hard. Matt Rule had his presser Monday. Bock, as you know, we was out. DP and the guys were here during the shows. Janarian Bonner is out for the season with a torn ACL.
Yeah, difficult news to hear, but not all that surprising. Again, watching that play kind of break down, obviously he fumbled and he's a reliable player. And it was just one of those things where it's like, you can't help it. I mean, if you have that type of pain, you got to reach down and try to stop it. You know, it's not going to happen, but you're just, it's your initial reaction. And so that kind of let you know it was going to be something serious. Then we saw the team, a few players, huddle up and pray on the sideline after he was kind of taken in the back. If you were there at Arrowhead Stadium, so it didn't look like it was going to be good. Coach Rule kind of noted as much after the game, and now we kind of get the final news, of course, that he is out for the season. Again, one of Nebraska's top 4 weapons as far as wide receivers coming in, so it kind of opens up a spot for some other guys, and we also know he is a versatile player. He's gonna rotate in at times. Into the backfield, can kind of be a tight end type, specifically, as a wide receiver out there as well. So it's a difficult player to lose because he's hard to replace with just one guy. But they might have to do it with kind of several guys. As far as returning production and all that, not as difficult. Again, it's not like he had 800 yards receiving or anything like that. But was a solid playmaker and a guy that would fight for extra yardage. And of course, hopefully, after he returns from injury, will be back and contributing in a Nebraska uniform. But as for now, it's tough news for the young man. We wish him all the best and hopefully a speedy recovery without too many obstacles. But it's injuries and it's part of football. And Nebraska as a team is going to have to just pick it up and move on.
All right, Bock. When we talk about his replacement, we do have the depth chart for week 2 come out, but we're going to go some more with Coach Rule that he talked about yesterday. He's also said we have to get off blocks better. Thought the Cincinnati quarterback was an incredible player. I thought that too. I thought Cincinnati went away from the RPO kind of early, didn't really try, wanted to beat Nebraska in the air, but when they tried to go back to it in the second half, it was too late. Yeah. Well, not too late, but the defense was playing great by then.
Yeah, it was interesting. Cincinnati, obviously, a lot of their yards coming in those final couple of drives in which they kind of turn it on and gave Nebraska a run for their money. It is. I mean, and they did have a challenging quarterback to defend. Obviously, defensive coordinators will tell you anybody with wheels, can be difficult, dual threat quarterback. But I mean, that was much of what Nebraska has to get better at. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious if you saw the first drive, that the you had to adjust to kind of game time angles and attacks. I think Deshaun Singleton is one of Nebraska's best tacklers. Just kind of was thrown off of his route going for the tackle of his angle in the first drive, and we saw that a few times. So hopefully that gets better as the season goes on. But yes, especially containing the quarterback on the move. Might not see it as much moving forward for Nebraska. There's not a whole lot of dual threat quarterbacks on the roster, on the schedule. So that should help out a little bit. But Nebraska's got to do a better job defending them because that was about the only thing that helped Cincinnati get back in that game and really gave them an opportunity to win there. Obviously at the end, as we know.
All right, Coach Rule also said he wasn't happy that we didn't He was not happy that we didn't rotate at running back. Daniel Ferguson made the call, and Coach Rule was good with it.
Yeah, kind of interesting to go back and forth on that. And I guess it's just one of those deals where it just kind of played out that way. So they're going to have more of an eye on that and what that's going to look like. I don't completely mind it. I know, you look at it just on the surface and say, over 30 touches for Amir or for Emmett Johnson. That's going to be tough for throughout the course of a season. But this isn't for the course of the season. This was a very big game. He did a good job as far as tone setting and getting things going. A very big game. He did a good job of kind of fighting for those extra yards. Again, 25 carries, 108 yards. Led the Nebraska as well with 7 receptions for 27 yards, and I love him being involved there. But to that point, though, only a few touches from the backups. Nelson only had 1 carry. Mose only had 1 carry and 1 reception, so 3 total touches for the backups. That's definitely going to have to change as the season goes on. But again, I think it's a little bit. If it were me, and again, maybe this is Holgerson because Rule said it was on Holgerson, not so much him. For me, it would be a little bit more by design. Load up on Emmett. The first game, try to get through it. The next 2 games, you have more of an opportunity to kind of get those backups. So I would see Emmett Johnson. We'll see. The Akron game could be closer than we want it to be or predict it to be. And, of course, you kind of base things around that. If you need Emmett Johnson to beat the Zips, then you use Emmett Johnson to beat the Zips. But with a 34.5-point spread here, the expectation is that maybe he doesn't have to play after halftime. And so I think that's where you're going to really see in the next 2 games, Mose get his opportunities. Of course, the backup running, the third string running back, and then the top backup, Mekhi Nelson. I don't know if there's a whole lot of a gap between them. We will see. They don't list them as oars on the depth chart, but of course that doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other. So I think they're going to kind of have to battle it out. So I didn't mind it. It's not something you can do game after game, but especially for the first game, I thought it was a good idea to win and lose with your best players out there. And Emmett Johnson certainly one of your best players.
All right, Rule also said we won't be in a 3-man rotation at tackle for long. We want to put it on tape. And I sent you something earlier that I want to go over, but I have to find it, Bock, because I have so many notes that I send you, but this one's going to, let me find it. But what do you think about the tackle position, Bock?
Yeah, interesting. Again, at right tackle, Teddy Prohaska has that thing pretty clearly run, and they're running with him. At left tackle, they were rotating between Gunnar Gatula, Turner Corcoran, and Elijah Pritchett. And it was interesting because Elijah Pritchett obviously had 2 plays that stood out in his debut for the Huskers. Obviously, the false start.
Was it his fault? Oh, yep, that's his fault.
Yeah, it was his fault up there, and cost Nebraska probably 4 points. Likely would have been able to push it in to get a touchdown there. They had to settle for a field goal. Okay. And then the sack that he gave up.
Not his fault, Bob.
A little bit of his fault.
Not his fault, Bob.
If you give up a sack,
he needs to roll to the outside, Bob. That's
it was a covered sack, and he got benched right after the play. So I'm assuming there was something about it that the coaches did not necessarily like. But to your point, it was a coverage sack, but it was a sack. And it did get benched off of that play. So I do think there was something there they were frustrated with on him there. But either way, it is he did to what you were looking at. He did grade out higher than the other 2, according to Pro Football Focus, when he was in there. Yeah. And, of course, Gunnar Gatula and Turner Corcoran, the others in there. So they're going to try to kind of figure it out. But it is, that's kind of the whole story, isn't it?
Which one is 77?
That's Gatula.
Run block 58.9%, pass block 58.6%, overall 59.6. The other guy, what's his name?
Turner Corcoran.
Turner Corcoran had 47.9% on run block, 50.6 on pass block, overall 48.6. Elijah Pritchett has 71.1 run block, pass block 69.3, overall 64.6. And when I say this, Elijah Pritchett he's the better athlete. He's probably the better choice, but I think the little things that he do by jumping off sides and a lot of people said that when I talked about this on X earlier, I commented on some guys' posts, and they said that, yeah, he's the better athlete, but he just needs to get his stuff together. That's how they didn't say it like that. But, I'm in the same boat with that part of it, too, that he needs to get ready at least, before he falls out of grace. Coaches don't like the offsides, giving up sacks. Dylan could have rolled out and rolled the other way, but he got suckered in and that guy went in the inside, started outside first, and then came back in, and he got the sack.
Yeah, and it is. Like I think it's kind of those Pro Football Focus grades, along with and by the way, take those with a grain of salt from what you do look at, but that is a measurement. But I think those grades, along with the highlighted mistakes that Elijah Pritchett made, really is the story of this battle at tackle. Is that he does have probably the biggest upside. He is probably the best tackle when he's at his best out there. But it is those small things that are still kind of bothering, still kind of being a problem for him in his development. And so it's just it is interesting to kind of say, do you want somebody with a great upside and that is gonna cost you a few plays a game, or do you want somebody that's going to be more consistent, maybe not have the upside, but not have those problems so much? So that's going to kind of be the question. Like they said, they're not interested in a season-long rotation of 3 different players. I think that's got to be at least they kind of got their heads on straight there. That does not sound like a plan that's going to work well. So they're kind of in the battle test mode here. Now you put some on tape. You got a few more weeks again, in my mind, to kind of iron it out and figure out who do you want to start against Michigan. I think the good part about this is that you can throw some different body types, some different guys out there. If Pritchett doesn't start at tackle, I think there would be an opportunity maybe when you get to the Michigan game or against a Penn State or somebody where there's higher level athletes coming around the corner. You say, hey, we got to put out our best, most athletic guy there to get an opportunity. But we'll see what they do here. Of course, I don't necessarily have a favorite among the bunch as far as personally. Gunnar Gatula, I thought it looked good when he filled in last year. I don't think he's a bad option at tackle. Turner Corcoran, of course, has battled injuries, so it was just a great story to see him get back out there. And then Elijah Pritchett, of course, we all know the story that he has coming over from Alabama, expected or anticipated to be a high NFL type of guy. It's fascinating. It's one of the more fascinating positions that we'll see moving forward. But they've got to find their guy. So I think they're going to figure that out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, nothing really changed in the depth chart. Only thing changed to me is Keelan Smith will be Ja'Cory Barney's backup. I would rather think that probably Cortez Mills would move over into that spot, but Nizea Hunter and Quinn Clark Quinn Clark is the clear number 2 over there. You still have Dane Key, Cortez Mills, and Jeremiah Jones at the receivers. Left tackle is still the same, Gatua or Turner Corcoran or Elijah Pritchett. So we have to see how that works out this week. Defense, nothing really changes. Keanu Davis, Elijah Judy, William Newari, or Cam Linhart are the starters. Deshaun McCullum, who, oh man, I like to see him off the ball more, Bach. I think he'll be better off the ball part, but that Jack linebacker is more like a defensive end. Marquise Watson Trent or Vincent Shavers, Javen Wright, then Jacob Bauer, then Dawson Merritt, Deshaun Singleton holding it down, Andrew Marshall, Marquise Buford, Hargzar, and Sierra Wright.
Yeah, like you said, not a whole lot changing there, and that's probably good news coming out of week 1.
Well, kick returners, you have Mose and Kenneth Williams or Makai Nelson. Everything the same, Ja'Cory or Andrew Marshall on punt return. Archie on the punt, holders same, kickers the same. I would like to see John Hogan in there, man. I thought that kid was really our kicker last year, and for I don't know if he was hurt or what, but I know Coach Eckler is the special teams coach, and he done an excellent job. Rude also mentioned that he bit into some behinds on the special teams meeting the other day because they thought they could have ran one back.
Yeah, I did see that, and that's good. It's good to keep the expectation high, not just kind of look, because I think that was a lot of the response from the outside the program, right? From those that have watched it over the last couple of years was just, hey, the special teams didn't do terrible, and that's great because it had been pretty bad. But the expectation, and very quickly under Coach Eckler, it shouldn't just be, hey, we didn't mess up the game. They want to make an impact on the game, and they felt there was opportunity to do so, and they didn't quite get that done. So I appreciate that. I think that's something that I love that kind of taking that approach to it. and trying to get back on top of that. I thought Archie Wilson especially looked pretty good in his debut as a punter, given what he was asked to do. Obviously, not a lot of long fields to punt over, so his average wasn't great, but consistently placing it inside the 10 was pretty good. And then obviously, like you said, John Hull still listed as an or on the depth chart. I thought that perhaps with his leg that he showed off last year might have been kind of the long field goal kicker, but they believed in Kyle Kunanen, who to this point had not hit a 50-yard field goal in his career. They put him out there and he got it done. So all three kickers that Nebraska has have 50 yards and over potential. They've shown that in their college careers already. And I'll just say in general that old the old joke in college football for the longest time was college kickers. I can't trust them, this or that. I think that's going away a little bit. There's the level of kickers in college football. Just watching over a college football weekend and the numbers that they're kind of putting up from the range that they're going from, it just seems like the kicking game in college football in general is going up, and Nebraska is trying to be part of that.
All right, Buck, I got the Big Ten quarterback grades. This is from Big Ten Huddle, which is crazy to me because once you hear this list, Buck, you're going to be baffled by it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Jaden Malvo, A+. Drew Aller, A. Julian Sand, A. Dante Moore, A. Bryce Underwood, A. Ryan Brown, A. Who's this quarterback from Rutgers? I can't say his name.
Nathan Caliac-Manis.
Yeah, he's still there. I thought he was gone.
The Greek rifle never dies.
A. Luke Allmeyer, A. M. Washington from Maryland, A.
Yeah, Malik.
D. Williams Jr. from Washington, A-. F. Mendoza, B+. Nico.
Iamaleava.
Yeah. B+. Drake Lindsay, B+. Dylan Riola, C+. Aiden Childs, C-. Danny O'Neill, D-. Then Mark Gronkowski, D. Now, when somebody asked him about Dylan, this is what they said, Bach, and I have to ask you what this is. ADOT. Do you know what that is? Okay, me neither. So they said, can I ask how Riola completed 80% of his passes for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and get a C+? They said loose with the ball, multiple turnovers, worthy throws, and a ADOT of 4, which I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily what that is either. But I was a little bit baffled by that. I think Dylan Riola did better than a C+. Potential turnovers do not equal turnovers to me. I get it. Like you're trying to dive into the film and get, but I mean, I would just be interested if they watched every snap of every player this week, because that's generally going to happen once or twice a game. Your quarterback, especially if you have him fling the ball around 42 times, there's going to be an occasion where you almost turns over the ball. A lot of people point to the near pick six that was on a 4th and down. So he was kind of desperate in that situation. The other one was the fumble that he had that Cincinnati could have picked up and ran back, and he was able to get that back. So that, I mean, there were definitely parts of his game that could have been ironed out a little bit more. But he played he played a Power 4 conference team and threw for almost 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, if you expand that to 12-game regular season, he's thrown for nearly 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 0 picks. I think that'd be a little bit better than a C+. So I think that's a little bit critical of him. I thought he looked better in a lot of his decision-making. You mentioned the sack that he did take that Pritchett gave up and was somewhat of a coverage sack. Not perfect, but I thought he was able to roll out and find some guys or roll out and take the yards that were there on the ground. So I thought that was very impressive from him. I would have given him a better score than a C+. So I'm a little bit surprised by it. It wouldn't be wildly a whole lot better. You might kind of be thinking into the B- territory. But it's wild to me that you would give that a C+.
Yeah, I don't know how you give that a C+, but I guess they wasn't looking at it right. Does it have? Well, I can go through CBS stuff, but it's just too much.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of responses.
Oh, here we go. 5334 says ADT is the average depth of target, meaning all he was, hold on.
Is it? Yeah, he's just doing dump down.
Yeah, dump down passes.
Okay, so using that against him to be, that's another interesting point, and I really want to see what Dylan Raiola does, against some man coverages and what he has. And of course, did better against zone coverages last year than man. But Cincinnati's their whole thing is they don't want you to beat them deep, so they're kind of keeping you in front of them. And so Nebraska just kind of took what was given to them. And again, I think they had enough success doing so. So they didn't really necessarily try any big plays. There was one ball that he floated out to Isaiah Hunter. If Hunter was able to keep his feet, would have been more, but that was the only reception, I believe, over 24 yards. Did have another pass to Lindenmeyer for 19, so close to the 20 mark. But using that against him, calling him a check down merchant or something like that. I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, and 5334 for letting me know. I played football 30 years, Bock, and never heard of ADOT.
Yeah, first text from 5334 too. So.
Yeah, I never heard of that type of stuff. But the thing is, it won't matter the next 2 weeks, Bock, because the lower tier of playing that we're playing with Akron and Houston Christian. It probably doesn't matter to Michigan until we see him really throw the ball against a team like that. I mean, these 2 games are warm-up games. Not saying that we should lose, not when you're a 34-point favorite. So, and then Houston Christian, you're probably going to be a 50-point point spread on that one. So, you know what? It doesn't matter till we play Michigan that I really want to see if Dylan Raiola can slash it, because those guys are the guys that you're going to want to come see play. Now, I'm going to be in attendance at this week Akron game, and I also want to see him throw. I'm going to be in attendance for the Michigan game, and I'm going to be in attendance for the USC game. Probably a couple more games, Bach, but the Michigan game is the main focus. But we got to take care of these 2 opponents right now, starting with Akron. So I'm not going to go ahead and try to fast forward all the way down to September 20th or whatever it is.
Well, it is. I mean, and that's where you kind of move the bar up, right? Is the expectation now? Again, I don't know. He might be pulled at halftime if they have a big enough lead, and in either or both of these games. So I don't know if he's going to end up throwing for 300 yards anywhere. But you want that completion percentage to be high. Will be fun if he's able to take a couple shots and they're able to kind of get that going and throw the ball downfield a little bit more. That was something that early on last year looked pretty good. Downfield throws. Sometimes it was his wide receiver adjusting the ball and kind of, he would throw it underneath his target and they'd come back and get it. And as the season went on, it became kind of more difficult for him to do that and still kind of put a little bit more air underneath that ball than maybe needed to. And so we will see what that kind of looks like, maybe without a defense that is going all in and kind of bend but don't break type of philosophy where it doesn't want you to get the deep ball going. So, I think the expectation, especially with the completion percentage that he's had under Holgorsen and started this season with, is going to be interesting. Something like, you want to see like an 18 of 20 for 200 yards, 2-3 touchdowns. I think you'd be very happy with that in the next couple of weeks.
All right, Bach, when we come back, we're going to get on the defensive side and see what John Butler has to say for the good old black shirt. 93.7, the ticket. We'll be right back.
Ready to score big with your projects? Look no further than Edward Stone, the MVP of natural stone for over 2 decades. Edward Stone is cranking out over 30,000 square feet every week and offers a winning lineup of over 70 quality natural veneer stone selections. Their unbeatable variety and experienced team will ensure your project is a success, whether it's a home renovation or a commercial build. And hey, they're not just about stone. They've got an all-star lineup of fireplaces, cast stone, brick, and much more. Swing by one of their locations in Lincoln or Omaha today and experience the Edward Stone difference, your reliable choice for over 20 years.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Ready for all the benefits of soft water? High-quality water softeners installed with no arm-twisting contracts. Call 467-1111 Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
To what Nebraska represents in the world of volleyball. Big news, Nebraska! Love Omaha is now Love Nebraska. This is more than just a new name. It's a tribute to what Nebraska represents in the world of volleyball. It's still the same team with the same mission, led by players you know and love. Now backed by a new ownership group led by Jordan Larson. As Love Nebraska, they're entering an exciting new chapter, pushing for a championship title in 2026 and building new opportunities for the next generation of players across the state. They want you with them. Let's show the world how Nebraska plays volleyball. Join the movement at lovneb.com and sign up to become a Love Nebraska insider today.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Follow the Huskers to the City of Angels when Nebraska plays at UCLA in November. Book your official Nebraska alumni travel package at huskerfantravel.com. Choose from 2 or 3 night options that include a hotel in scenic Santa Monica, an exclusive welcome event, game day transportation, and the official Husker Huddle pregame party. Add on your game tickets for an optional upgrade. Transportation to and from LA is not included. Join the official Nebraska alumni trip to see the Huskers play at UCLA. Spots are limited, so book your trip now at huskerfantravel.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's. I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries with Texas toast. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. You're listening to Bock the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
Degrees in Lincoln today, Buck. I don't know the weather for Saturday, but I'll be there. Our first night game of the year. I get to see the light show. Hopefully it's not our last night game of the year, Buck. Hopefully we can get that USC game to be a night game, Buck.
Yeah, we'll see. It's always fun to kind of to take it under the lights, right? To take it all in under the lights. So we'll see. Again, the Akron team coming in 10-0 loss in week one, to a Wyoming program who struggled a little bit last year. Wyoming was 3-9 last year after Coach Jay Sawville inherited a 9-4 team from Coach Craig Bowl the previous year. So that's kind of let you know the competition that they played the other day. It's kind of interesting breaking that down because initially I think, they didn't even score. This should be an absolute, Nebraska should win with ease this week. And of course, the betting odds and the betting spread and all that kind of factor into that too. But after all, only giving up 10 points against any level of FBS competition is pretty good. They did that against Wyoming. So if you look at the last 3 games for the Akron Zips, of course, going back into last year, they've only given up 13.6 points per game, 13.66 points per game if you want to round up. To their opponents in the last 3 games. So we'll see. Maybe they've got a little bit of fight to them. We'll see. Head coach Joe Moorhead coming in, the former Penn State offense coordinator, helped lead them to a Big Ten title. The last time the Nittany Lions won a Big Ten title in 2016 with, of course, Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley and those guys. He went off to Mississippi State. Things did not go well there. Just did not seem to be much of a culture fit. He was 14-12, so it wasn't awful. But then they hired Mike Leach after him and did a little bit better from there. And now is in his second season as the head coach. Or I think he's been a few seasons there with the Zips. I'll have to double check.
All right, Buck. Florida State was fined $50,000 for rushing the field. So hopefully we don't have that when we play Michigan. All right, Buck. Top 5 games this weekend before we hop into John Butler's press conference. Michigan and OU. Kansas and Missouri, Iowa State, Iowa, Illinois, Duke, Baylor, SMU. Those are the top 5 games for week 2, Bach. Which ones do you like so far?
I always can't wait for Iowa and Iowa State. It's a great battle. Iowa State obviously looked good with their opening win over Kansas State, but Kansas State didn't look good in week 2, so it's kind of tough to tell where they are. Iowa still has quarterback problems, it appears, with Mark Gronowski. They didn't really get much going there, but they didn't need to either. Their offensive line helped them rush for over 300 yards again against Albany. So really, really kind of want to see what's going on there. Michigan, Oklahoma, for all the reasons, right? I mean, top programs, that's all exciting. Obviously, both schools would rather be a little bit higher up in the rankings, and so we'll kind of see. Oklahoma specifically, their head coach, a little bit going to be a little bit on the hot seat, especially if they lose this game. And of course, for Nebraska fans to see what Michigan does, even more interesting. And I got to say it, I'm just for the game to get maybe a little bit more hype in, and maybe outside of the other reasons. I cheer for the Big Ten. Also, don't often cheer for Oklahoma. I will be cheering for the Wolverines in that game.
Yeah. Also got Oregon versus Oklahoma State.
Yes.
2 coaches going back and forth. Gundy talked about all the money that Oregon spends, and then Oregon coach comes back and says, well, you got to spend money to be a top program.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Gundy's basically said that they've spent around $7 million on the team the last 3 years, and that Oregon spends close to $40 million last year alone. So that's kind of where they're going. And again, this has been a question. Dan Lanning's had this. It's kind of weird. He gets targeted. He was targeted last year with a similar situation. Georgia's Kirby Smart referenced Oregon's resources, saying that the SEC media days that he wished he had some of that NIL money that Phil Knight has been sharing with Dan Lanning. And then Lanning said in response to that last year, I think it's impressive that guys like Kirby have been signing the number 1 class in the nation without any NIL money this entire time. So obviously ready to kind of take shots back. Dan Lanning, for what it's worth, has also followed up saying he's got the most respect to the world for Coach Gundy and what he's done at Oklahoma State. So it's not all trash talk, but it is interesting. and I think Lanning's got the right kind of response. Is just if you can say we're paying a lot more, we're paying to win. And if look at the results.
All right, Bock, let's hit some of Coach Butler up, defensive coordinator for the University of Nebraska.
Yes, we've got a few thoughts on the defense here and what's kind of going on from Coach Butler here. Let's start with what his assessment was for Cincinnati's tempo.
I think our overall assessment of the game is that, I think I mentioned it to you guys last week, early on, can they block us? Early on, can we cover them? Early on, can we tackle them? I knew right away that we could cover them. I had concerns because there was mentions about all these new transfer wideouts and who are they, where they come from, and we saw them on tape, but we don't know until we play them. I felt pretty consistent. We could cover them. We could affect the quarterback with our coverage. Tackling them, we tackled their backs and the receivers better as the game got along. And then the biggest concern, as I think I mentioned to you last week, was the quarterback just turning the game into like a high school football game, which that's no criticism of him. But in the second half, I think he realized that, however many yards they had, they didn't have many. And he said, I'm going to get back there. And if a guy I'm looking at's open, I'm going to throw it to him. If not, I'm taking off, which is what he did. And so that's a hard thing to manage. We got to be more disciplined in our rush lanes. I could be more helpful in how I was calling the game, maybe adding a 5th rusher. In that regard, I think that's kind of how the game evolved. It was a weird second half in that they had 0 explosive plays in the whole game except for the 29-yard scramble, which is a key factor in winning. We had 2 takeaways. They had none, which is a huge factor in winning. Some of those leaky rush yards were quarterback driven, which when you do the math, when the quarterback runs, that means your post safety or somebody else has got to get involved or somebody's got to whip somebody's tail and get off a block. And that's the next step for us. So that second half was just a little weird in that there was really no rhythm or vibe to the game. It was really just a quarterback getting the ball and him kind of freelancing. I was joking with a friend of mine. It reminded me of my old teammate, Jack Stanzak from LaSalle. He would just catch the ball, and he was a better athlete than everybody, so he just would run and get 200 yards rushing, and we'd win the game, and I'd be like, what is that? So that was kind of how that game was. I thought that kid was a great competitor, was big, strong, and, we just made one more play at the end to win the game.
Yeah, well, here's one thing I think. As a defensive coordinator, you slow your linebackers down. I think they was moving too fast. Step-wise, I think they was a little faster than they should have been. Me, when I played linebacker, I like to pause for 1 second. You got to see the play. I mean, a lot of people say, well, once I see the play, that gives me a good opportunity to go to the ball faster than I can, especially when you see a quarterback that's agile like that. Probably, if I had to say one, probably Kobe or one of the Missouri quarterbacks was like that when we played. But at the same time, that's what you're probably going to look like most of the time when you run that 3-3-5 defense, when you're just bringing 3 or 4 on third down. But, we got to do a better job of keeping our heads up and keeping your head on a swivel and looking around for the quarterback, especially when you knew that what he's going to do. He did it a lot last year. It wasn't a surprise that, especially when you run the RPO, quarterbacks do things like that, especially with a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, and we know, dual threat quarterbacks, again, give defensive coordinator headaches. They're hard to game plan for, right? Because but I thought that they could have maybe managed it a little bit better. I don't know if they just didn't, a quarterback spy, so, a linebacker to kind of, especially with the success he was having in the running game, is maybe adjust to kind of that, make him throw it to beat you. Of course, that takes one out of your secondary, so there might be more guys open, but they weren't necessarily passing the ball all that well. So I thought that maybe was an adjustment they made. Like you said, he could have probably brought another rusher to kind of do that. And again, if you do that, maybe rusher / spy would be, again, probably a good way to go about it. So hopefully they can kind of make the adjustments, learn from what they saw there. But you need to have answers for it, not just, hey, that guy's an incredible athlete. I mean, that's always you're going to run into that from time to time, and you're expected to kind of have the answers, whether it's the first thing you've got, or you got to throw a couple ideas out there to see what happens. So,
and also you're talking about some guys who doesn't have that experience. You know what I'm saying? These guys are fresh. If you look at William Nola, he didn't play at all at that many games at Missouri, and you look at Cam Linhart, he didn't do really what he needed to do last year to really play a lot, because I call it the sophomore blues, and now he's a junior and he's ready, but. These guys need to get more games up under their belt, and I think it helps them out to not get up field so much and try to just, beat your man and slide down and make the whole collapse on the quarterback.
All right, let's go to this. What adjustments are you making for quarterbacks?
I think we have to. So football is a game of what does the opponent do on the film, and then it's also a component of what does offenses do against us. And offensive coordinators, usually the ones that I've been around, the first thing they look at when they play a defense is they go, let me see the explosive plays they gave up. Let me see the touchdowns they gave up. Let me see the third down, whatever it is. And they will put that play in if they don't have it, or if they have it, they'll put it to the top of their chart. So quarterback, what are you going to tell the quarterback? Hey, listen, guys, if nobody's open, just take off and scramble, because they had 90-something yards in quarterback scrambles. So we have to be alert that mobile quarterbacks are going to take off. And this quarterback we're playing this week, while not doing it last week a lot, if you look at his film in previous places and his previous year's film, he will run. So we have to continue to make that a point of emphasis where we're going to rush like wildfire, but we have to keep the quarterback in the pocket, because when the quarterback sits in the pocket and throws the ball, like I just said, I think that's going to play to some of our strengths with our back seven and our secondary. So I think it's a balance, of what we think they're going to do based on their film against Wyoming, and then maybe some of the things they may put in wrinkle-wise that they may think hurt us, which we're always keeping that in mind.
All right, Bock, go to the next one. I'm cool on that one.
All right. Let's get into his thoughts on Deshaun Singleton playing at safety.
He's a safety, but obviously we use it systematically, whether it's Deshaun or Marquise or whoever it is, we're going to get and need sometimes that extra player in the box at the second level, which you could characterize, he's in the safety room, but he's a second level player. So he's got to understand linebacker play. I think that, each one of those guys, obviously, Javen made a huge play on the screen right before half. And then Vincent Shavers made a game-changing play that set up a touchdown, gave our offense a short field, and our offense turned it into 7 points. That's a huge play before the half that, as we talk about winning the middle eight all the time, though, so we got to stop in 2 minutes, and our offense got the ball back to start the half. So I think those two guys, in terms of the plays that they made, the run game fits, and the consistency in the run game just needs to keep coming. But, obviously there's two winning plays in that regard.
All right. I can live with that one. I can live with it.
Yeah, kind of interesting, obviously, because Deshaun plays the rover position. So that's kind of talking about the dual task that he takes on sometimes, playing in the front seven or the back seven.
Yeah, he'll be next to a linebacker. I mean, he gets counted in that box, but like I said, he did a great job of tackling. Couple of plays he missed, but overall, I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, he led Nebraska with 7 tackles in the game, so there is that. Let's get into his thoughts there here on Donovan Jones, who we saw get a few more snaps there again at defensive back.
Well, the first thing, when we're evaluating players at each position, we want big, fast, physical, and tough. And that's what he is. I mean, he's a 200-pound corner. He tackles like a linebacker. He's got a processing element to him, that he plays fast, that he plays well in games. So you're able to play a kid like that at corner for however many snaps he played. And then at dime, he's covering their best receiver in the slot. So I just think that when we're evaluating the players we want to put on the field, coaches talked about find the winners and get them on the field. Well, we feel like we have 2 pretty good corners in Sierra and Marshall. So we think Donnie's one of those guys that's a winner. So just like Marshall and Sierra, I think they're 3 of our better players on defense. And so if you only have 2 positions, it's your job as a coach to find a way to get that guy on the field. So we're going to constantly be trying to figure out whoever those players are that play well and practice well week to week. The system's going to evolve, and it's going to be built around the players that are playing hard, that are playing physical, that are executing at a high level, that are doing it for their teammates. And thankfully I'm experienced enough that our system's going to be built around them. It's not going to be pigeonholed into, oh, this is what we do. And we're going to evolve to having who we think are the best 11 players on the field. And that's a process that we're still working through. And Donnie obviously has shown to be capable to be one of those players.
All right. I think that guy can be a third down linebacker. You got a good size on him, 6'1", 200, you know, put him in some dime coverage, you know, help the defense out, you know, give him playing time. That way he can help the team win.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
All right, take us out, Bock.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we see. We've got a few more clips from Coach Butler as we wrap up Bock the Blackshirt coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Rollouts have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Rollouts will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Rollouts make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Rolloffs, cleanup made simple. This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Hi, I'm Eli Barnes, Assistant Vice President at Midwest Bank at the 70th and Pioneers and 27th Jamie Lane locations. I love working with families and small businesses right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Banking shouldn't be complicated, and that's why we make it personal. Whether it's opening your child's first account or securing a loan for your next big step, I'm here to help. Stop in today and say hello. I'd love to meet you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Are your feet just killing you and you feel like all hope is lost? Say goodbye to discomfort and hello to pain relief at Brown's Shoe Fit. They offer expert advice along with high-quality products to help you find the right solution tailored to your specific needs. Need a different width? Not a problem. Brown's carries a wide range of widths in store. Brown's Shoe Fit on 66th and Q in Lincoln.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Sometimes it's hard to know if substance use is becoming a problem, especially when it becomes part of daily life or social routines. Take the free assessment, Is Your Substance Use Harmful, at myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can understand your risk. You can take the assessment anonymously. In just minutes, you'll get practical, non-judgmental guidance and resources to support your health and well-being. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to Bock and the Blackshirt, 93.7 The Ticket. All right, Bock, give us a little bit more before we get out of here for the end of the day.
Yeah, we got a few more clips from Coach John Butler, defensive coordinator, obviously, for Nebraska. Some thoughts from that game. Here's a question a lot of people are kind of interested in Riley Van Poppel. What do you need to see from Riley Van Poppel, he was asked?
I think it just comes down to three things. It comes down to, is he playing as hard as he thinks he can? And then we got to make sure if that's how hard you think you can play, we're going to get you to play harder. Physicality at the line of scrimmage, getting off blocks. I think with all of these guys, we're not singling out anybody. You just happen to ask about one of them. That's to me where our biggest step in week to week has got to be, from week 1 to week 2, is our ability to get off the ball and get off blocks, because that's what really the run game is all about. Whatever call that's made, it's getting your hands on the blocker, getting off the blocker, getting to the ball carrier. So that's I think something we're going to be emphasizing with our front 7, really the front 6.
They hear the emphasis that they'll have in practice this week as they prepare for Akron. He's also asked about what he needs to see from the defensive line overall.
I think you guys heard me say it last week when I said the defensive line, like, it's not a thinking man's position. It's a get off the ball, create a new line of scrimmage, get off blocks, make tackles, be disruptive. I think sometimes at times we were a little bit too fit oriented, meaning like, am I in the right place? Or maybe the processing wasn't going as fast, but your D-line has got to be a bunch of guys that just freaking go and think about things later. And I don't mean play reckless. I'm just talking about getting off the ball, creating a new line of scrimmage, and I think that's something we're going to be preaching with all of our front guys from now until the final game of the season.
Yeah, you got to get off the ball. I mean, you got to beat your man. I mean, to make that tackle, to help your guys out. It's a lot goes on in the defensive line. Obviously, I'm not a defensive lineman, so, it's a totally different position for what I do. But, I play with a great defensive line, and they did a great job of getting off balls and making great tackles.
Yeah, it is interesting. And again, a lot of it, like I said, not a thinking man position. You see ball, get ball, go after it. All of that. Again, to what I was saying earlier, though, there's some nuance beyond it. Beyond that, obviously you don't want to lose contain and all that sort of stuff. And that was, it can be part of the problem, especially when you have a scrambling quarterback. So we'll see the adjustments that they make, but most of what he's kind of talking about is just kind of get off those blocks. And how do you get better from week to week in doing that? Maybe there's some techniques, things you can work on, but hopefully it's, again, to what I was saying earlier in the show, even the tackling, I think, I think it just takes, I was impressed. The defenses across college football did pretty well. Some of these big games, Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson, they didn't get into shootouts or anything. But again, I'm so intrigued by the limited amount of tackling that you can do these days, in physicality in practice. And then boom, game 1, you're supposed to be ready to go for it. And I think, again, Nebraska did well defensively in this game too. Only 17 points given up. You could have your critiques here, and people certainly have, about the rush defense. But altogether, I think defenses should be able to improve, just being able to pick up the physicality a little bit more than they were leading up to the season.
All right, Bock, let's get out of here, and we'll be back tomorrow. Same 2 people, same time. My man Bock in the black shirt. Here on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Sometimes it's hard to know if substance use is becoming a problem, especially when it becomes part of daily life or social routines. Take the free assessment, Is Your Substance Use Harmful, at myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can understand your risk. You can take the assessment anonymously. In just minutes, you'll get practical, non-judgmental guidance and resources to support your health and well-being. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
High-quality water softeners installed with no arm-twisting contracts. Call 46